Welcome to this installment of Creative Cabin Fever. I am staying local on this one. I want to introduce you to a new Waterford band. The Waterford Massive is so super important to me, and being able to show the world what beauty Waterford has is pretty much my jam. So here we are this evening. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Adam Lundy. I'm the multi-instrumentalist for Casa Nueva.
I'm Zach Mulcahy. I am the vocalist for Casa Nueva.
Well, welcome, dudes. I am super happy to have you here. So you have an upcoming release coming on the 26th.
Yeah, 26th. It was supposed to be at the 15th, and then DistroKid kind of just went Napal 26th instead. So it'll be out on the 26th on all the streaming stuff, but it's out on Bandcamp right now on our Bandcamp page. So you can buy it for €1, but if you want to stream it, you can just wait until the 26th.
That's perfect. Look, sometimes computer just says no, and there's usually a really good reason, you know. I always see every fault in life or everything that goes wrong is actually usually a blessing in disguise. So whatever reason it is that you're not meant to go until the 26th, trust me, it's for a good reason. It just feels like shit, but it's good.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether it's half of DistroKid or me not being able to read a calendar. So.
One or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other. I'll put it on DistroKid for now.
Yeah, we'll blame. We don't know. It could have been very late at night when you were trying to put it in. We've all made mistakes. So you never know.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's done now. The 26th is the launch date. Brilliant. Can't wait for the 26th. Yay.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we can go to Bandcamp. This is Braggy. He likes to do impromptu visits. I should have locked him in the room, but I didn't. So, guys, how's life in lockdown been treating you?
It's good. Not much has changed. I still get out. I'm still working kind of Monday to Friday, so it's kind of stuck inside anyway. And then just go for walks on the weekends and then go back to Netflix.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Well, my life has changed not really a whole lot at all. I work at home anyway. When I do my job Monday to Friday, I'm working from home. I've been working from home for the last 2 years, so I'm completely used to that now. Haven't got to see my partner for about 5 weeks. That's obviously tough, but everything else in my life has pretty much been the same. Do work Monday to Friday, and then my other passions then take over music, or as you can see by my stack of movies, I'm a big film buff, so it's either listening to music or writing music or watching movies or go for some walks. That's it. So generally speaking, my life hasn't changed a whole lot in lockdown. Obviously it'd be nice to go out a bit more and go a bit further, but yeah, at the moment it's still pretty same, especially Monday to Friday anyway.
It's a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it? I have good days and I have bad days. Like today was a bad day. I can't really explain why it was a bad day, but I literally didn't want to do anything till about an hour ago. So I'm really happy to have this social outlet and be able to talk to people. Even just doing an interview like this is really beneficial to my personal mental health. So I understand, like, everyone's kind of stuck in this, and anyone who's pretending they're fine all the time, I reckon might be a lot darker than I am, you know, but I'm okay with not being okay all the time. I haven't had time to watch movies, actually. I'm watching a lot of interviews, catching up on other people and how they do interview situations and trying to upskill. That's how I'm using my downtime.
Has to be done. I suppose that's why, you pick up stuff from music when you're writing songs. So if you're trying to, if you're trying to improve your interviewing skills, you're going to watch interviews. So it makes sense to be doing that.
Yeah, it's now. I've said it a few times around the apartment here, and people at the girlfriend would be really sick of hearing me say it, but now is a really important time to upskill because we have the time. I mean, like, I'm going back now to try to learn about music theory, but it's all YouTube videos and stuff like that, but it's not too bad. You'd enjoy it a little bit. And then watching your man Anthony Fantano argue with Twitter, that's also entertaining.
It is the perfect time, though, isn't it, for that thing that you always wanted to do, but you weren't brave enough? Like, I bought my drum. Like, I don't know if you were following on Viking. Lots of people saw me with my drum. I got this, like, big steel drum thing that I've wanted for about a decade, but could never afford. And because Sunstroke was cancelled, I was like, okay. And now I'm just like banging away on me drum, feeling the vibrational changes in me and just feeling so happy to be making music again, because I haven't touched an instrument since I was 16 years old. Like I used to play bass in a punk band and then I just gave it up, you know, so it's cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like, I suppose obviously we're staying in all the time. We're not going out or going any places. So obviously saving money is good as well in that regard, especially if you're sort of lucky to still be working full time. You know, still have plenty of money to spare. So like, you know, upgrading our equipment is obviously a big one. I'm getting a new interface next payday. Just need to obviously just upscale what I had in terms of recording the music. So it's obviously good to have the extra cash around to do little bits like that when you want to. And well, I'd be lying if I say that this pile has gotten a lot bigger since the start of lockdown. It started around here and now it's nearly taller than me. And then I have other stuff on another shelf. So not just music, but yeah, it's nice to have extra money to do the things you like and things to enjoy when you can't really do the other things you normally like to enjoy. So you kind of overcompensate a bit with the stuff that you can get your hands on.
Yeah, no, it is. I know it's kind of one of those things. I'm fighting the urge to buy anything that's massive, just because I probably won't get the time to enjoy it, because I'll be kind of in here and I'll be stuck in my own head and I'll kind of overthink it, go a little bit OCD, and kind of either commit to it or throw it out the window. And so I'm trying to enjoy as much outside nature scenery as possible. And I've also discovered you know, the hemp oil drops for sleeping and putting in tea and stuff, just to try calm myself a little bit further.
I think I need to try some of that. I have real trouble sleeping. I never get to sleep properly. I think I need to try something like that.
I put on an hour meditation every night for me and my son to go to sleep.
I wouldn't have the patience for that.
Oh no, that, you know, that the meditation bowls, the sound of them is just so calming.
They're cool.
Yeah, so I don't actually have a spoken meditation. It's actually healing music. So you put it on, and before you know what happens, you've lost yourself in the sound and you've knocked yourself out.
Sounds lovely. I've gotten into the, and don't judge me for this weird habit of listening to Reddit stories as read by Mr. Nightmare on YouTube.
No sleep ones?
Yeah, it's like that.
No sleep podcast or something like that, is it?
Yeah, it's like someone breaks in like a 3 hours worth of horror stories to go sleep to. And I'm always I'm sleeping facing the bedroom door as well. It's kind of like, it was the middle of the night when I heard a noise outside my apartment. And I'm kind of going, ooh, this is interesting. Yeah, and then I think it's the camping ones I can't listen to. I can't stand the thought of anything being in the woods out there, just watching.
There's a really good one on the Reddit No Sleep series. Like No Sleep is like this subreddit where it's just all horror stories that are all, you tell them as if they're true and everyone acts in the comments as if they're true. They're obviously all fiction, but it's just part of the enjoyment of it. And there's a really good series about this guy who was he was like a fire watchman in a woods, and it's just basically a series of all the mad stuff he purportedly sees being a fire watchman in the woods. That's like one of the most popular no sleep stories. I like those as well. That subreddit. I don't listen to them, but I read them a lot. I used to read them a lot as well as a teenager, especially. But I still go back every now and again and have a read of some scary stories.
Yeah, no, I love.
Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
It's really funny. As I said, I've been watching a lot of interviews, and I've made friends in Dublin that do similar interviews to what I do now. One of them is called David, and he is in Demar's Entertainment. And he did this interview last week where he was talking to this really interesting Dublin-based artist, singer-songwriter, about where he gets his inspiration from. And to my shock and horror, this evil genius of sorts gets it all from heartbreak threads on Reddit.
That's very smart.
Hey, inspiration comes in many forms.
Yeah, so he goes on there and he gets inspiration for his songs, and then he posts about his songs underneath, so everyone who's suffering from heartbreak might actually resonate with a particular tune, and then you're hooked for life. He is an evil genius. Yeah,
that's very good. That's really smart. Because I sort of struggle with that. I don't know if you know it, Rebecca, but I know Zach does. I obviously am a solo artist as well with Bleak House. And when I started Bleak House, I was in like a really dark spot mentally. And so the lyrics sort of flowed out from that. And then things got a little bit better. And then I came to like writing the second album, and I'm like, I got nothing. I don't know what to write about. And I ended up just writing a whole album about the TV show Twin Peaks instead, because it's the only thing that I sort of loved enough to sort of write about. But yeah, you gotta check out the album from Bleak House, Northwest Passage. It's literally all about Twin Peaks. So there you go.
I even have pop figures of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, there you go. Northwest Passage. Every song is both lyrically, thematically, and sonically inspired by Twin Peaks, because I love Twin Peaks with all my heart.
Every year, once a year, I rewatch all of Twin Peaks in a tent in my sitting room with donuts and coffee.
Ah, yes.
Nice.
Now, are you, what kind of person are you during a rewatch? Do you watch Fire Walk with Me in between the original and new series, or at the very start?
It depends. And it depends on how I feel and how much time I have. Sometimes I might not be able to watch it the whole way through. Sometimes I might have to, especially at the moment now, because I'm a mom in captivity with my son.
Fair. And Twin Peaks is not very child friendly, so it's absolutely fair.
I come from an era, because I am not as young as I look. I come from an era where nothing was actually hidden from me. There was no such thing as censoring, and I think it's made me a more balanced person. So I don't particularly stop my son from watching things. Like, he loves to swear at Wu-Tang Clan songs, and he loves the Wu-Tang Clan. And I am not going to not play like explicit lyrics for my son, because the rule in the house is you can swear with music.
That's fair.
That is fair. I was actually really happy that my name coming up, instead of Primavera Sound, it was Wuhan Clan. So there we go. It all comes back in circle.
Yeah, so one of the questions I usually ask people is, what was the first song you fell in love? Because I think it's your gateway drug into rock and roll, and that ties us really well into my son and his weird music habits. So what was the first song you fell in love with?
For me, I'm just trying to think, because obviously I've been listening to music pretty much my whole life. My granddad was in a rock and roll band back in the day. He played like the Kinks, and he played with Bill Haley and Jerry Lewis. So I've been listening to music pretty much all my life. I suppose the first song that got me proper down the route of into rock music and sort of into, becoming interesting and learning music and becoming a musician, it's going to sound super cliche. And I'm not even a big fan of this band anymore. I probably haven't listened to them in years, but it was Smells Like Teen Spirit. I heard it when I was like 12, and it was the first sort of, like, before then I didn't really, like, I knew music. I listened to like the teeny bands like Busted and stuff when I grew up and everything like that. But the first time I became interested in music and rock and, being a musician and, going down that route, it would have been Smells Like Teen Spirit. That would have been the first one that pops into my head when I was around 12 years old.
Nice. Mine was Queen, or These Were the Days of Our Lives. I think that was probably the first one for music in general. And then going into rock music, I suppose, I think Number the Beast by Iron Maiden was probably that gateway one. Or I'm trying to think of the name. It was a Judas Priest song as well.
Maybe Painkiller. That's the most famous one. That's the only one I know, actually, is Painkiller.
No, Painkiller was my brother's favorite one because he's a drummer.
Oh,
yeah. And he loves screaming like Rob Halford, so it's kind of one of those things.
Is it Breaking the Law, actually? That's the other one I know.
Breaking the Law. No, I think it was Judas Priest doing a cover of a song, but it's Diamonds and Rust. And I just loved his voice on that. So
he's a great vocalist.
Yeah. I think all my favorite songs are, even by metal bands, are all just ballads. I'm a real ballad man.
And that's okay. I think it's cool. I have a particular fondness for Iron Maiden myself. I once upon a time owned a motorbike called Eddie because of the number of the beast. The number plate was 06W666.
No way. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. She was the coolest motorbike in all of the land. Selling her is one of my biggest regrets. So
Well,
I'm sure it made someone else very happy.
Yeah, no, I think she's living a very beautiful life, and she's definitely
Good.
being used more than I could be using her myself right now.
Well, that's good, especially with a motorbike. You're going to want to bring that out all the time. So as long as it's not rusting somewhere in a shed.
No, that'd break
Yeah.
my heart. She deserves a highway at very high speeds and to be enjoying the best life, and that's what she has. Far away from me. That's a bit.
Oh no. You don't get visitation, I assume, no?
No.
Sure. If you love something, leave it go.
And
And
she
if it
might
loves you,
come back to me yet. She
Yeah.
might.
The world works in mysterious ways.
it does.
Someone could watch this interview today, and whoever has her could be told about it, and they'd be like, give her back. That poor girl is heartbroken still.
Yeah. We should start a GoFundMe. Get Rebecca her motorbike back.
Yeah, no. That would be great, lads. Thanks.
We'll get on that after the interview.
So you guys obviously been in captivity, and we were talking about different things we've been doing. Have you been listening to much music? And if so, who's your captivity jam? I think everyone's fully aware now that Blackbird and Crow is my ultimate captivity jam at the moment. I have found new bands since though. So they're going to be upcoming things happening there. But you guys.
Yeah, I've seen them on your story a lot, that band. I haven't checked them out actually. I've been meaning to. I've seen them pop up on your story a lot on Instagram. For me, I've just been listening to the same old stuff I normally listen to. I haven't really listened to anything new in a while. I listen to like my music taste is as far and wide as it could possibly be. I listen to everything, obviously the indie sort of folky stuff that we're doing and that we're going to be doing, Casa Nueva, bands like The National and The War on Drugs and stuff like that. I listen to them a lot. But then, I listen to Gajira, a French technical death metal band. Super into them. They're incredible musicians. But I suppose my lockdown jam, the sort of song I've been going back to most, is by this American indie artist called Sandy Alex G. And he has a track called Bobby. And it's sort of like this Americana folky track with this nice sort of harmony with this female vocalist. And it's just a really nice, cool, laid-back track with sort of weird lyrics that don't even really mean anything. And yeah, that's just been a song I've been listening to a lot the last couple of weeks. So if you haven't heard, Sandy Alex G, he's just this indie artist. He records all his stuff at home and puts it out himself. He got noticed on Bandcamp and then got signed up to one of the sort of bigger indie labels. So he's a really interesting musician. Like no two of his songs are the same. Like that album in sequence has that sort of Americana-y track, and then it goes into this sort of weird sort of electro track, and then into more heavier stuff. It's just nearly every song is different. So he's a really interesting artist. I've been listening to him quite a lot.
Great. And yourself, Zach?
Well, I've been going a little bit more dancey. I've been listening to. I went through the Futurama soundtrack first, the first few weeks, because I was like, oh, I'm going to find all the sad episodes. Fry's dog, the one in season 10 with Fry's mom as well, and there's a song on that, by the Eels. It's called Manchild, and it's absolutely gorgeous, lovely song. And then, usually in the mornings, I'll be dancing around the kitchen in my bathrobe to "May I Have This Dance" by Francis and the Lights. But I'll probably listen to that song about 3 times a day, just kind of to keep the spirits up. But if you haven't heard it.
No, I haven't heard that. But obviously I'm a huge Eels fan, and I'm currently reading the autobiography of sorts, things the grandchildren should know. And it's one of the best books I've read. But the thing is, I'm really dyslexic, so it takes me super long to read a book. And at the moment, I just don't have the concentration span to be dedicating to reading. But I would recommend that book to everyone out there who is especially an Eels fan, because it talks about his struggle to make the first album, Beautiful Freak, and how all that came about. And it's really interesting. So if you like the Eels, which you obviously do from the Futurama soundtrack, you should check that book out. It's amazing.
Oh, I will indeed. I also discovered Cigarettes After Sex.
They're amazing.
I've heard so much about this band. I don't think I've ever actually listened to them.
If you just listen to Heavenly, and that'll get you into it. That's enough.
I'll queue it up on my Spotify to listen to afterwards, because I've just seen them everywhere, and I've heard so much about them to the point where I kind of don't want to listen to them, that kind of way.
Yeah.
It's like when Game of Thrones was big and you just don't really want to watch Game of Thrones, but then eventually you give in. and it was amazing for a few years until it went to hell.
I have
But
still not watched the last season and refuse.
don't even bother. Don't even bother. I was the biggest advocator for people to watch Game of Thrones. I'd be like, have you seen Game of Thrones? No, you have to watch it. And now I would just tell people not even to waste their time. Like, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Just don't even waste your time. But I'll have Heavenly queued up there, so I'll give that a listen after this. See what they're
Zach,
like.
how do you feel about Game of Thrones?
I honestly don't mind the Game of Thrones series finale because they were out of source material. It's hard enough to do anything without source material, especially live up to the expectations of devoted fans who have dreamed out the ending every which way, and they get the way that's not their favorite. I mean, what are you going to do? The writers went with the best writing, or the best one that they saw folded out the character arcs.
The only reason I haven't watched it is because I was storing them all together to watch when I had free time, because I just don't have the time, and I wanted to watch them all in one go. And then so many people said bad things, I just never got back to it. But I'm a huge TV show buff, like massive. Like, I love the TV show adaptation of American Gods, for instance. I think it's a very mislooked at piece of TV art. And then you have, obviously, Hannibal would be one of my absolute favorite jams in recent years. And further back, massive Buffy fan. Gilmore Girls, all them things that people don't talk about anymore. Veronica Mars. No one ever talks about Veronica Mars anymore. No one really watched it that much either, but they should have.
That was the one with Kristen Bell, is it? Veronica Mars, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't seen it, but I knew that she's in it.
It used to be on E4, I think. E4 were good for running all those type of shows. I remember I started watching Charmed before work, and Charmed was a decent show.
That was the Witches one, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Again, I know so much about so many TV shows without ever actually watching the TV shows, just purely from seeing the adverts and seeing stuff online. I don't watch a lot. I struggle to commit to a TV series. Like, if I see, like, I'll hear so much about this great series, like The Leftovers or The Wire or all these other series. I'm like, yeah, they sound great, but I don't really have the time to commit to a 6-season thing, and there's 12 episodes and they're all an hour 15 minutes long. Well, I can just watch a film and it's an hour and a half and it's all wrapped up in a nice, neat little package at the end. So the only shows I'll watch, the only TV shows I watch now are pretty much just comedy shows, because they're just easy to throw on in the background. I pretty much have, on a constant loop in my house, it's either Community, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or Parks and Recreations, and they're just on a constant loop. I'll finish one, go to the other, and then I'll just circle back at the end of it all then.
Yeah, well, Community's definitely worth it. But
Community's
I think
amazing.
that hour and a half, you could watch a film, or you could watch maybe 2 40-minute episodes of a series that you kind of think about over the night, think about it during the day, and you kind of come back and you're like, what's going to happen?
I do love that about modern TV, right? It's basically like a really long, extended feature film. So, like, you launch yourself into a really good TV show. Now, you're taking a risk. You are taking a risk because something could happen, like similarly to what happened with Game of Thrones, where theoretically it was amazing and then maybe it messed up, or Lost definitely messed up. Okay?
They definitely messed up. As soon as they brought time travel in, they definitely messed up.
Okay. I'm rewatching Lost at the moment.
Look, after Brian K. Vaughan left, because he's my favorite graphic novel writer, after he left, the screenwriting just wasn't good. There was that whole strike at the time in America where there was a writer's strike on, and that caused havoc to everything that was being put out at the time, right? So Lost, it wasn't its fault. Like, it had the potential to be amazing, and if they were to revisit that idea and do it completely differently, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But, okay, TV shows. You take a TV show, you watch it, you're committed. Okay, you actually have the potential of having an elongated film that develops as you develop. So not only are you enjoying something, but you might actually be progressing as a human being and changing and learning alongside your favorite characters, and it lasts way longer. And this is why I'm on Zach's team with this one, Adam.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you're kind of developing with the character. Do you know what's that one? It was The Take. Do you see that? I think it's a Martina Cole novel, and it was adapted with Tom Hardy. It's about London Underground, and I swear to God, I was a London gangster for about 2 weeks afterwards. It's such a good series, but you develop into it, you invest yourself, and you put a little piece of yourself into that show while you're watching.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
think that's
definitely see
definitely.
where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But to each their own. And obviously, you're a massive Twin Peaks fan, and that helped you create something. At the moment, are you seeing a personal change in your creativity? Are you finding it more difficult to create? Is there anything new that's happening there, Adam?
It's kind of easier now, because my main stumbling block was always sort of lyrics, and now I have Zach to sort of clean up that mess for me. So now that I'm just doing the music for this project, it's really freeing, especially because like the sort of main reason we started this project is because I've been sitting on a lot of these songs for a long time. The single that we're putting out with you, the music for that, I wrote that I'd say about 2 years ago, and it's just gone through different demos and gone through different stages to the point where it's at now. But it never suited Bleak House. If any of yourself, or I know Zach has obviously heard me play, and but any of the other viewers ever listen to Bleak House music, it is very sort of downbeat and slow and sort of dark and folky, whereas the tracks we're going to be putting out now are much more upbeat, they're much more poppy, especially with you. It just didn't seem to, it didn't suit Bleak House. And I was thinking, maybe I'll put them out as like a different solo project, but my voice didn't suit the songs. I needed to have a strong voice. So obviously that's when I got in touch with Zach, and I said, look, I have these songs, they're all written, we just need someone to sing on them. And he was obviously into it, because I know that we share very similar music tastes anyway, so I knew that he would be into it. So it's great now that I can finally sort of put out these songs that I've written and been sitting on for a long time, but I'd never want to sing on them myself, and I didn't really have anywhere else to put them. So it's a lot more freeing now, just writing the music. I've been going through a bit of a splurge. I've been sending Zach nearly a new song every week, going, put vocals on that one, put vocals on that one. Been sort of bombarding him a bit in the first sort of 2 or 3 weeks of the project when we first got going with it. So yeah, it's been actually much more freeing now that I'm not having to worry about lyrics and vocals. I can just put all my sort of creativity into the music.
And that's great. And yourself, obviously, Zach, you'd be creative in the lyrics, and obviously you'd have to be training your voice and finding different ways and different pitches. How are you finding this moment in time?
As I said, I said to Adam earlier, I'm just messing around with plugins a lot of the time. I was messing around with a vocal synth earlier. Kind of, it puts the hard tune on the voice. You can go up and down the scales, and it's just, oh, it's great fun. I had loads of little gadgets from before quarantine. I'm just kind of getting around to them now and how to use them, because I love them. Like this little bad boy. This is
like a drum pad, is it? Or?
Yeah, it's a Nord drum pad, but it's absolutely class. I've just been playing around with the there's like a doorbell setting on it, so I've just been knocking out doorbells.
I suppose someone's calling to the house, so it's the closest you'll get to a door,
Yeah, that's true. You don't hear them a lot nowadays. Nobody's calling around.
I'm just watching the neighbors across the hall. As soon as they sit down, I turn up the thing. Ding dong. See if they get up. Not that I'm creeping on my neighbors or anything like that. It's just because there's lots to do during lockdown. Spy on your neighbors.
I don't spy on my neighbors. We have a very close community up here, but I could imagine that it's very tempting. One of the girls put up a funny joke earlier today, and I was like, that is class. She was saying that she sends her neighbor flowers every Friday saying, I miss you. And she loves to just sit on her balcony and listen to them fight downstairs.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
It's honestly, it's an experience living in an apartment block. I was woken up one morning by someone shouting and screaming and throwing shoes out the window. Problem is, though, she lives on her own.
Oh God!
No, I'm only messing. She kicked him out.
Good Lord!
Nah, yeah, but I think it was after like a 4 or 5 day session. I think they were still trying to go on the trot, and maybe someone just wanted some sleep. So that's
Jesus. That's mad.
Yeah.
Look, it happens the best of us. And in these crazy times, I think we're all going to be reacting a little bit strange. Do you know what I mean? It's not an obvious time in any of our lives. Look, we're all going to leave some part of ourselves down, but we're also going to gain other parts. And it's all about finding the balance and trying to see the best in everything. But I imagine there's lots of fights going on out there. Lots of people acting completely out of character. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose some people might discover that what's actually going on might not be for them in the long term, and they just need a different path.
Yeah, sure. What was it when they started lockdown? Someone had said, lockdown is going to result. It's going to have 50% of divorces, 50% pregnancies. That's going to be no middle ground. You're going to end up pregnant or divorced out of it,
Or both.
I keep
or
making a
both.
joke about the quarantines and how fucked up they're going to be. Like, whatever about them being born, like, within the next 9 months, like, but when they're teenagers, like, the quarantines are going to be mental. Like, they basically have a societal case of, like, Stockholm syndrome. Like, they're not going to be right.
No.
I can't wait for the names.
Ah, the mad names. It's just all going to be TV show names, isn't it? Like whatever's big on Netflix now.
My first my first name is Social. My second name is Distance.
Distance.
It's possible. Look, I can't say much about naming your kids. My son is called Keanu Dante after Keanu Reeves and Dante from Devil May Cry, my favorite video game of all time.
Fair.
That's very fair. I mean, as long as it's not, Grimes' baby.
Yeah.
What is that?
I think they have a reason for naming the baby that way. I think it's named after mutual things that they like. Unfortunately, mutual things they seem to like are airplanes and mathematical equations.
I would
How do
help.
you even pronounce that?
Kyle.
Bob. What, Kyle? You mean seriously?
No.
No. Bob, I'd say. Like, I had a theory when it first came out that they did it so that the baby's name wouldn't be printed everywhere, but obviously that has gone backwards because everybody's printed it everywhere. It became a meme, so maybe not. That was my initial thinking. Like, maybe they've just said that this is the child's name, so it's not being printed in all the tabloids and all that kind of stuff. Because if you work for a tabloid, you're really going to have the effort to type all this crap out. Like, I personally wouldn't. I'd just say, Grimes, and I've completely blanked on his name now. Elon Musk. Yeah. Grimes and Elon Musk's baby is born. I'm not saying the name. So that was what I initially thought when they first named it. It was either a joke, because Elon Musk is very tongue-in-cheek on Twitter anyway. Well, sometimes tongue-in-cheek, sometimes he's just an absolute nut job. So first I thought it was a joke. Then I thought, okay, maybe it's just a joke name that people won't be printing it in the tabloids, but it's gone on a bit too long now and they haven't corrected anyone, so now I'm kind of scared for the child.
Well, it could be worse.
That's true. You are being born into a billionaire, so it could be worse.
I think
would
the
live with a
child
crappy
is going to
name.
be fine, really.
If someone said, hey, Adam, you need to change your name to that, and you get $1 million, I'd be like, where do I sign up? Where do I got to go to get this done?
And that's a single million. Imagine what you do for a few billion.
That's it. God knows how much Elon's worth anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure Grimes makes a few pound herself on the side.
Oh no,
Grimes.
she's a self-made success as well. Like,
Definitely she is. Yeah, she's bigger in America. She's pretty huge over there. You don't really hear a lot of her over here unless you like go on Pitchfork or on any of the American publications.
Did you listen to her last album though?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, so heavy fell through the earth. Is that an absolute jam?
Yeah.
We were in the shanty in Tramore before the lockdown, and they gave us control of the yoke of the music in the pool room. So I put on the full Grimes album, but it's a decent album. Probably not as good as her previous ones. I think there's one song, if I can find it.
She has this one absolute banger, and it's like her most well-known song. I can't think of the name of it now, but I'll know the name as soon as I see it. Oblivion. That's her main song, Oblivion. Because I think it was in. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was in a FIFA soundtrack a few years ago. That's when I first heard it.
That FIFA soundtrack, right? I don't.
Great source of bangers,
right? Because I don't be into like soccer, and I especially don't understand why anyone would want to play a game where they pretend that they're a soccer team. This is my personal view, and people will be screaming at home, and that's okay because I am actually a gamer. I'm allowed to have gaming opinions, right? But the soundtracks, they are like modern day Tony Hawk quality soundtracks, which brings me on to the next thing. Tony Hawk announced on his birthday, and I know it's his birthday that he made the announcement on because it's also my son's birthday because they share a birthday because that's how cool my son is, right? With the new game and they're getting all the old bands back together to make a deadly soundtrack. And that's music news right there.
Yeah, they're remastering the first two and they're bringing it out in September, I think it was. I saw it. But yeah, those FIFA soundtracks, they definitely helped forge my music taste, and especially as a teenager, every FIFA soundtrack has so many bangers on it. They're all sort of lesser known bands. You don't really have any sort of big groups on there. Like, I suppose they're not really lesser known in the wider sense. Well, they will be from the wider sense, but like, I remember like first hearing like Two Door Cinema Club on a FIFA soundtrack, or
Foles got really big from FIFA
Foles,
as well.
yeah, that's where they blew up. Like, I've been a Foles fan since I was like 13 anyway, since their first album came out. But yeah, they blew up after that. It was Mountain at My Gates, I think, was the song they had on one of the FIFAs, maybe FIFA 13 or 14, and they blew up after that. Yeah, I've been a Foles fan for years anyway, but they blew up from that. And although it wasn't the national song I heard, the first national song I fell in love with was The System Only Something in Total Darkness. That one is on FIFA. That was on like FIFA 17 or 18.
The System Only Dreams in Total
That's
Darkness.
it. System Only Dreams in Total Darkness. That's the one.
I think it's tongue-in-cheek named after Philip K. Dick's novel, I think. Do Electric Sheep Dream, or Dream Electric Dreams.
Do Android Sheep. Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Do androids dream of electric sheep? That's it. It was the basis for Blade. Yeah, it was the basis for Blade Runner, the film Blade Runner. That was the novel. That was the basis of it.
Yeah,
and they stole the name Blade Runner from a completely different book.
They did, and Blade Runner also an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah, Vangelis. It's a great soundtrack. He was very, very. In terms of if you want a synthy soundtrack, Vangelis is your man to do it. Like, sure, he did Chariots of Fire as well. That iconic do 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 do. That was Vangelis as well. So if you're making an 80s movie and you want a nice synthy epic soundtrack, Vangelis was the man to go and make your music for you. He was a very he must still be alive. I think he is. He's a talented musician, talented score writer.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much, like, I really love soundtracks, and I have this whole theory about how I have a soundtrack to my life and every single individual out there has a soundtrack to their lives. And I keep trying to get artists to make me the soundtrack of their lives and send them to me, because some people kind of communicate better through music. Like, I'm not always very good with the words, but I understand your soul better if I can deconstruct you through music, So that's a fun thing. So that's great that we're talking about soundtracks and FIFA and all that. The next thing I want to ask you guys is what the first thing you're going to do when you get out of lockdown is. And in theory, that's sort of maybe Monday.
Ooh, it's a bit early to go to Disneyland. No. I think I'd like to go for a swim in Newtown or in the Gillamine. Because I'm in town now, so I can't really go out for a swim. So I would really like to go for a swim.
Not a bad one. Monday for me, it's still 5 kilometers, so I'm still trapped down in New Ross for now. But from June, when the 20-kilometer radius comes in, it's going to sound sappy. The first thing I'm going to do is obviously go see my girlfriend. That's obviously the first thing I'm going to do as soon as I can. And then as soon as lockdown fully ends, as soon as everything's back to normal, I think the date when they said if everything goes to plan, it's August 10th is when everything goes to plan. And that's one of my best mates from school's birthday. So I think we'll all just go on a massive tear if that ends up. If everything goes to plan and August 10th is when everything's going to open up again, or at the very least we can go have a session. He lives in a big wood in the middle of a woods. So at the very least we'll go on a session in his house. But that'll be the big plan once the whole thing ends. But as soon as I can travel 20 kilometers, I'll be straight down to Waterford to see my girlfriend.
That's lovely. I just want to go to the Arch for a coffee.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a proper coffee. Although I bought a cafetiere thingy to get the
edge off.
Yeah, absolutely. Although it's like you get the extra strength coffee up in Aldi, and you'd be sitting there at the computer and work on it. twitching. But I would like a proper coffee to kind of regulate the amount of caffeine that goes into my body rather than whatever Aldi has in theirs.
Yeah, God knows what you're putting into your body then.
Sure.
Why does this say 5% cocaine?
This should be 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're all completely right. I have really enjoyed this interview. You're a lot of fun. I actually can't wait to meet you guys when lockdown ends in the real lives, because we don't actually know each other, in case anyone's at home watching. Jesus, she knows everybody. She don't like. Is there anything you'd like to add to the interview before I leave? That was what I was going to say next.
Just obviously just keep an eye out for the track out on the 26th. You can go to obviously Bandcamp and put it up now. If you search for us on Facebook, you can find the link to all the track there, and you can find the link to the pre-save. There's this really great independent Irish artist called Mulcahy who has a single out called Frame by Frame. And you should definitely go and check that out as well, because it's a proper banger.
Oh, thank you. So just check out the single, I suppose, and keep an open mind when it comes to the last season of Game of Thrones.
Do more stuff that makes you happy, spark joy in your life in any way you can. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to stop recording, but we're going to keep chatting, okay?
Okay.
Say goodbye, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.